Alright, we are done with Chapter 2. Time to review. I'm going to go over a few questions on this practice test. Not all of them, just highlight a couple of them. So here it just says write the sentence. Okay, it does not say solve. Product means multiplication of a number n and 2. So 2 times n can be written as 2n is no less than. Okay, no less than means it's greater than or equal to 14. It does not say to solve, so this is your answer for number 1. Okay, on numbers 4 and 5, you are to write an inequality that represents the graph. Okay, you don't have to get fancy and come up with something. This plus that equals this divided by this. Just show, what does it say here? It says all the values here, x, all the values of x are greater than 5. 5 is not included because it's an open circle. When you have a compound inequality, put x in the middle, put your boundaries. We've got -1 here on the low end and 5 on the high end. Remember the signs always point to the left here. Okay, and we can read from x. X is greater than -1, that's true, that's all these values. And x is less than 5. And since these are open circles, there's no line underneath, no equals. Alright, these set to solve. Alright, so to solve this inequality, first thing we need to do is deal with this negative right here. This works like distributive property. Okay, so we get 4 negative times positive 6 gives us -6 or -6. And then negative times -5n gives us positive or plus 5n. So if you're subtracting 4 minus -5, that's plus 5n. Alright, now we have 5n on each side. When you have the same variable on each side, they're inevitably going to cancel out, right? Because I subtract 5n on the left side and subtract 5n on the right side. That cancels both of them out. This sets us up with either a no solution or an all real number situation. So now we have 3. Carry down our inequality sign. 4 minus 6 is -2. So 3 is greater than or equal to -2. That is true. 3 is greater than -2. So that's all real numbers. Number 13. Again, notice we have -2x here and -2x there. First thing I want to do is cancel out the variable term on one of the sides. And in this case, again, it cancels it out on both sides. Now I have 5 here is less than 4 plus 3, 7. Again, a true statement. 5 is less than 7, so that's all real numbers. Alright, solve the inequality and graph the solution. This is an OR statement, so I have to solve both of them. I want to isolate the variable, subtract 5 from each side, -5, so I get 2y is less than 3, divide by 2. By 2, so now I have y is less than 3 over 2. Since I have to graph this, I'm going to go with a decimal on this one, 1.5. Or, here, we're going to bring the variable to one side, so I'm going to subtract 3y from each side. That cancels this out. 5y minus 3y is 2y is greater than 7. Divide by 2 on each side. Okay, usually you can leave this as a fraction, but we want to graph it again, so y is greater than 3.5. In order to graph it, it's a little bit easier to make it a decimal, so we'll say we have 1 here, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Okay, if I want to graph this, y is less than 1.5, so open circle here. Less than goes this way. Or y is greater than 3.5. Open circle at 3.5 and greater than. Alright, here we have an absolute value inequality. In order to solve this, the first thing I need to do is isolate the absolute value. Means I need to get rid of this 3. Subtract 3 from each side. 5 minus 3 is 2. I didn't divide by a negative, so the sign still stays the same. Now here, be careful to carry everything down that you didn't cancel out. I didn't cancel out this negative, so I'm carrying that down. I'm also carrying down the absolute value. I keep carrying down the absolute value until I've isolated that. Now, there's a negative in front of it. I need to get rid of that. So divide by -1, because this is a multiplication. Divide by -1. Cancel out that negative. Now carry down the absolute value, x plus 8. Okay, now I divided by a negative. So flip the sign. 2 divided by -1 is -2. Alright, now I've set up this situation. Anytime you have an absolute value and it says something with negative, we know that something's up. Right? Absolute value is always positive. So if we're comparing it to a negative, we know that's going to be either all real numbers or no solution. Now it's saying that this is going to be less than -2. Well, a positive can never be less than a negative. Right? So this is no solution because this is going to be positive. No matter what you put in for x, it's going to turn out positive. Positive can never be less than a negative. Alright, write and graph. Okay, 2 tasks here. Make sure you're reading the instructions closely. You have to do 2 things here. Write and graph a compound inequality that represents the numbers that are not solutions. Okay, so read closely. In this case, they want values that are not solutions of the inequality. Alright, so here they're saying that 5 is not a solution of the inequality. So I'm going to color in at 5. Right, there's my 5 here. And then all these values 6 and above are not solutions. So I'm going to go this way. Here they say 0 is part of the solution set. So at 0, I'm going to have an open circle. And all these values less than 0 are not part of the solution set. The solution set here on 20 is an AND. The opposite is going to be an OR statement. So it's going to be x is less than 0 or x is greater than or equal to 5. Alright, so to do the ones that are not solutions, you need to do the opposite. If it's open, you do a closed circle. If it's closed, you do an open circle. Alright, here, number 21. This is an OR statement, so my answer is going to be an AND statement if I'm doing what's not a solution. So 1 is going to be filled in, because up here it's open. It's all these values up to 3, including 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. My x is in the middle. 1 is here, 3 is there for an AND statement. Remember, the signs always point to the left. Now I need to determine, is this filled in or not? These are both filled in, so I need to write or equals underneath. Alright, you need at least 150 cups, but less than 225 cups. So we need to be within this range from 150 to 225. Okay. Oop, there we go. And then we have 25 cups of lemonade that each batch makes. Okay, so at least 150. Usually I would write at least saying greater than or equal to 150. Right? But since this is an AND statement, I'm putting 150 on this side and 225 on the other side. And my batch of lemonade in the middle. So notice that this sign is pointing at 150. So I'm going to have to do it this way around. And with AND, remember, we always point to the left. Now, these are cups. A batch makes 25 cups. So if I want to convert the batch to cups, I need to multiply by 25. So 25 times the batch. And less than, if you check the answers on the answer document, for some reason they wrote less than or equal, but this definitely states less than, so there should not be a line underneath there. Okay, and then divide by 25 on all the sides. And then this cancels out, and we have B in the middle. 150 divided by 25 is 6. 225 divided by 25 is 9. So you should make more than or equal to 6 and less than 9 batches. This is set to write and solve. Okay, so write and solve. So this is part of your answer right here, and this is the other part of the answer. Very important when it says write and solve, you need to do both things. Again, this says write and solve. You have a goal to practice piano for an average of at least 50 minutes per day for 1 week. Okay? 1 week is 7 days. The first 6 days you practice a total of 245 minutes. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of minutes m you need to practice on the 7th day. Alright, so to find an average, if I have 7 days, I would take all those days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, add them together, and then divide by 7. Right? That's how I find the average of 7 days. Now it says the first 6 days, we've already added together. First day plus second day plus third day, and so on. Together, when we've added those together, give me 245. That's days 1 through 6. And then plus the 7th day, we don't know how many minutes. That should be at least, so greater than or equal to 50. Alright, and then to solve this, multiply by 7, times 7 on each side gives me 245 plus m is greater than or equal to 350. Subtract 245 from each side. 245, there we go. Minus, and then m is greater than or equal to 105. Again, remember, when it asks you to write and solve, make sure that you have written an expression like this and given your answer when you've solved it. Alright, that's all folks. You got this. Study, study, study. You can do it.